This is Ray White with Classic Artists Today, and we have with us this week Gene, Daddy G, BARGE.
So they put this song out. It wasn't a big hit, but it had some interesting airplay in that. High Lit out of Philadelphia, one of the top disc jockeys in Philadelphia, started using this song for his theme song, you know. And guys like Dick Clark and High Lit and all of them were in Philadelphia, so I became like sort of a known saxophone player in the Philadelphia area. But Gary came off the road, having tried, he and Guida had tried to follow up the hit New Orleans.
Right.
With no success. So incidentally, on New Orleans, the solo was taken by Earl Swanson, who had played with Griffin Brothers.
Right.
And so Earl Swanson was an excellent saxophone player, but he, for some reason, by me coming up with the words, and Gary coming up with words and me the music, Earl Swanson wasn't in the picture for this 2:45 session. So we did the session. We had a vocal group, I forgot the name of these guys. And the night we recorded 2:45, all the studio was loaded down with guys, the singers of this vocal group. And so we went on and cut the song. Guido wasn't terribly impressed with the fact that we wanted to do it, but he went along with the program. So as we got into the session, then he got all excited and decided to taking over and just calling shots about what we ought to be doing. But we got through it, and they took Gary's voice and overdubbed it several times on that, to make it, to get the sound that he got.
So from there, A Night with Daddy G, words was put to it.
Yeah.
And 2:45 was written.
Mm-hmm.
And from there went straight to the top of the charts.
Yeah. It wasn't easy. Started very slow. Nobody wanted to play it, and it sounded kind of trashy. It sounded like we're cutting the bathroom. That's a lot of disc jockeys said. But a guy named Matt Parsons, I think his name was, asked Guido, said, "Let me try to promote this record. Give me the records, a few records." So he started secondary markets, little teeny radio stations in Virginia and North Carolina, and started getting some interest in it, and started breaking it, and then some kind of way in Philadelphia, the guys who had been playing A Night with Daddy G.
So then Twist Up Calypso was one that you certainly had a lot to do with. We just happened to have the album here, and that was a big one for you guys too.
Yeah, this was the follow-up to the other album, the 2:45 album.
Right.
And I remember this is the one where Guido was insisting that we do the calypso beat to some of the songs that we were doing, because for some reason, he had a crush on this calypso music. I mean, he had a passion for that. In fact, he was stationed in Trinidad when he was in the military, so that's how he got acquainted with it.
Right.
So he tried to push that off into the music, incorporate it in the music that we were doing, just along with the Ugly Woman song with Jimmy Soul. That was part of the calypso experience that he wanted in that music too.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Okay, now Natalie Cole, you did a lot in her early days, and I guess you arranged some of her music and did a little production too?
Yeah.
And with some of the early things, you actually was a co-producer on a Grammy song that she had done.
Yeah, Sophisticated Lady. Was the one that we got the Grammy for. She had gotten her Grammys earlier on the very first album she won. This Will Be and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a Grammy for that. I was the co-producer on the album.
And did you hook up with her through record folks, or did you know Nat King Cole?
No, that was sort of a bizarre story how I got involved in that. The two producers of the record were Chuck Jackson, who was Reverend Jesse Jackson's younger brother, and Marvin Yancey, who was a reverend, very young reverend. And I had met him on an earlier gospel hit called Lord Don't Move the Mountain. That was nominated for Grammy too. It's Inez Andrews, Lord Don't Move the Mountain. And Marvin Yancey played piano on that session. So I knew the two producers from before. And they were looking for somebody to produce. They formed a production company. And we were in New York, and they got on the elevator with Natalie Cole's manager, who was trying to find a record deal for her.
Right.
And some kind of way they got together and they said, well, you're producers, we got an artist, why don't we get together? So they did. So when they came back to Chicago, Natalie had been touring these small clubs, jazz clubs. There was a jazz singer at this time, having finished University of Massachusetts. So so they decided to put up some money and cut 4 demo songs to try to find her a record deal. And so they got me to record, to set up the session, arrange the music, and record the songs. So we did. And they're one of the best studios in Chicago called Universal Studios. So we recorded these 4 songs. It took them 8 months to place her. She could have gone to Capitol Records, but she didn't want to go there, but that's where her daddy had been, and she was singing a different style, and she didn't want to she didn't go to stereotyped and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, but nobody took her, and so she ended up accepting the Capitol deal. So they recorded that first album. Now those 4 songs were the first 4 songs they used in the album, but I wasn't around to finish that album because we had some disagreements with the producers and I, But on the second album, I was there from there on. They did them both in Curtis Mayfield's studio, and then I influenced them to do another one in Paul Serrano's studio. So we did 3 albums on her in Chicago, and the rest of them were done in LA.
Great. We're now Chicago Rhythm and Blues Kings. That's the band that you're playing with now. Coming up here in the next year or so, you guys looking to get back in the studio?
Yeah, we're trying now. We're working on songs now to record, and hopefully we can get all the guys together and break away from whatever they're doing and get in the studio and try to do this little album here.
Great. Well, we'll certainly look forward to that, and we appreciate you being here with us today.
Well, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.